Okay. Hi, guys. Hey, newcomers and anyone who stumbled upon this podcast. Welcome to the very first episode of Truth About the Food We Eat Today. I'm Bella V, founder of Health Haven, and this podcast is exactly what it sounds like. Real talk about what's actually in our food without the sugarcoating, pun fully intended, because today we're talking about sugar and a bit of fat. Yes, you heard right. And by the way, guys, I'm outside, so if you hear any wind or cars or anything crazy, just know it's because I'm outside. Okay. If you've been following me for a while on Substack, you know I've touched on this a tad bit before, but today I want to go all the way in. We're talking about a fat-free, sugar-free diet or something. Whatever label is on the front of that package promising you something healthier that's honestly tricking a lot of us. And I'm walking. I just need to put that out there. So if I sound tired, just know that I'm walking, or if I'm breathing a lot, I'm walking. Just a reminder, guys, to get your steps in today. So, not even a year ago, I was standing in my kitchen holding a tub of fat-free yogurt, feeling really proud of myself, like genuinely proud. I remember thinking, look at me making the healthy choice. I ate some. Yeah, I ate some, maybe with some berries or something. And about an hour later, I was practically starving again. Not a little hungry, just very, very, very hungry. I guess not really starving, but super hungry. You get the gist. So I went back to the fridge, had some more. Yes, not even 30 minutes later. Then it happened again. And I was like, instead of just this healthy yogurt, I'll have a sugar-free snack on top of it. And just like that, the cycle continued, and I wondered why I wasn't making any progress. That happened more times than I want to admit before I finally sat down and actually looked at the ingredient label instead of just trusting the words on the front of the package. And what I found kind of changed how I looked at every healthy labeled product since. Okay, we're on section 1, the setup. So here's the thing about the fat-free products in the store. When food companies remove fat from a product, it usually tastes kind of sad, bland, watery, and, like not satisfying at all, because they took away the fat. So, what do they do to fix that? They add sugar back in to make up for the flavor they just stripped out. And when they remove the sugar instead of the fat, a lot of the time they add a bunch of artificial fat, artificial sweeteners, and fillers to compensate. So, when you're standing in the grocery store thinking you're making the smarter choice by grabbing the fat-free or sugar-free version, you're not actually saving anything. You're just trading one thing for another. And a lot of time, it's not even a good trade, especially for your health. It's just man-made slop. Okay. You've made it to section 2, the yogurt example. So I'm going to be talking about my yogurt moment. So let's go back to my yogurt moment, because I think this is honestly the perfect example of this whole pattern. Regular full-fat yogurt naturally contains healthy fats. Those fats do two really important things. They help your body absorb the fat-soluble vitamins in your food, and they help you stay full for longer. Now, take the fat-free yogurt, the one I was so proud of myself for buying. Once they strip the fat out, it needs something to make it taste good again. So sugar gets added back in, which means you're eating something with less staying powder and more added sugar, even if it's artificial or 0 calorie, which is 10 times worse for your body. So you end up hungry again way faster, just like I was. And you didn't even get the nutritional benefit you thought you were getting, or like any at all. It's generally a lose-lose, and yogurt is just one example. This same pattern shows up in some salad dressings, peanut butter, granola bars, cereal, the list goes on. Myth versus fact and quick product breakdown. Okay, guys, let's do a quick myth versus fact round. Sorry, I'm like stuttering. Because I think this makes it click even more. So, myth. Fat-free salad dressing is healthier than regular, healthy, man-made salad dressing. Or let me say it simpler. Fat-free salad dressing is the healthier choice. Fact. A lot of fat-free dressings add sugar or thickening agents to make up for lost flavor and texture, and you actually need some fat in your dressing to probably absorb the nutrients from the vegetables you're putting it on. No, guys, fat doesn't actually make you fat. I had to learn that the hard way. Okay, myth. Sugar-free nut butter is better for you. No, guys. Fact. Real nut butters made from just nuts and maybe salt are often the better choice. Sugar-free versions frequently swap real sugar for sugar alcohols, which can cause digestive discomfort for a lot of people and don't necessarily make the product healthier overall. Okay, next. Myth. Light, sometimes spelled Lite, I don't know if you guys see labels like this anymore, don't always mean lower calorie. Fact. Well, not always. Sometimes light refers to lighter in color or texture, not calories. And some light products aren't meaningfully different in calories at all. They're just marketed to sound like they are. Okay, so why does this matter beyond just calories? Why this matters is, I'm sure some of you guys already know this, but this isn't really about calories at the end of the day. It's about your body's relationship with real whole foods that God has already made for us. When you're constantly eating engineered diet versions of foods with natural stuff removed and the artificial stuff added, you're training your body to expect the engineered flavor and less nutrients. Real whole foods start to taste less excited by comparison, even though it's what your body actually needs, and your body starts to look and feel tired and dull again because the lack of nutrients it's getting. Have you ever seen those people who like try the super raw meat diet and their before and after looks amazing? That's technically what switching from processed foods to whole natural foods looks like. Like when you're switching from highly processed foods, like for example cereal, protein bars, depending on which protein parts you're getting, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A. Yes, Chick-fil-A has processing stuff in it. The list goes on. I have more examples, but I want to get through this as fast as possible so you guys can retain and get this information. So, there's something deeper here for me too. Genesis in the Bible tells us God gave us the plants and food on this earth for nourishment. There's something to be said about trusting what's real and whole over what's been manufactured to trick what people need to, especially lose weight or be healthy. I think a lot of our health struggles come from moving further and further away from that simplicity and getting into the hard parts of caring for our bodies the right way, even if you are losing weight. And remember, I said there's something to be said about trusting what's real and whole over what's been manufactured to trick what people need to be healthy. And you hear the word trick. Every time I hear that word, I think of Satan, the trickster, always trying to trick us into thinking that something is right when it isn't right. Or, hey, this isn't that bad. Or saying curse words isn't that bad, for example. Eating Chick-fil-A isn't that bad. It's just food. It's just processed food. Eating this isn't that bad. Drinking this drink that I know is probably demonic, but I don't really care because it won't affect me, isn't that bad. Starbucks isn't that bad. But, just an example. So, here are some questions that you might be thinking. I actually get asked these questions pretty often when I make statements like this. So, the first one is, okay, but isn't sugar-free technically better if I'm gonna cut calories? Like for people who are losing weight. And I get why people ask that, but here's my honest answer. Cutting calories from a product that replaces real natural sugar with artificial sweeteners and fillers isn't the same as actually nourishing your body, especially if you're trying to lose weight and still stay healthy. You might save some calories short term, but you're not solving the actual issue, which is usually portion size or how often you're eating processed versions of food to begin with. The better question isn't or the better question isn't sugar or sugar free, it's real or fake. Once you start asking that instead, the answer becomes a lot more obvious. So, we're on segment 6. What to actually do about it. So, here's my advice, and it's simple. Read the label and ask one question. Did they take something out? And if so, what did they replace it with? If a product needed to add sugar, artificial sweeteners, or a bunch of unpronounceable fillers to make up for removing fat or anything else for that matter, that's your sign. 9 times out of 10, the real, full version of that food, eaten in a reasonable or smaller portion, is going to serve you so much better than the diet version dressed up in cute packaging. Plus, you can also practice portion control, which helps you out in the real world instead of using a calorie app. You don't need fat-free, you need the real thing in the right amount. Please, guys, don't fall for the sugar-free, fat-free, all these low-calorie foods. If you keep eating this and that's your whole entire diet, you don't want to know how your body will end up, how you will feel, your hormones getting messed up. You just don't feel good. Imagine yourself eating all clean, real, whole foods. Doesn't that sound so much better? The stuff that God gave us to eat. So, that's episode 1, guys. If this resonated with you even a little, I'd love if you followed along here for more, because this is just the beginning of a lot of conversations like this one. Next time, we are getting into how serving sizes are literally lying to you in your face. Yeah, until then, go check your fridge, or maybe not if you already ate, but if you do, I bet if you look at any of the labels, you'll find at least one thing we talked about today. Love you, and God loves you too. Bye, guys.